Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 3 of the Social Sales Engineer Livestream. We bring you, as Lydia would say, sadly she's not here, all the best. We bring you the best people, the best content, the most entertaining live stream for sales engineers, I would say, on this planet. And we have a great guest today. This is Mark Green. I know Mark, I was in your show or in your group show, like 2 pre-sets in a pod. Amazing show. So you're very famous also on LinkedIn as a sales engineer and sales engineering leader. And you took a new opportunity like how many months ago? 2? And Consensus? Right?
Yes, it was almost 4 now. It was back at the beginning, back in March. Joined,
time flies.
Left Sage, which was very hard because I love them all. They're wonderful, wonderful people. Yeah. But I had an opportunity I couldn't pass up and moved over to Consensus, and now I get to do via enablement and intelligent demo automation for the whole planet, and it is an absolute joy. As it is to be guesting on your episode today, there, Patrick. And yes, do get well soon. Sorry that you're not here, but I hear that you're wrapped up warm, looking after yourself, and that's a very good thing. A very good thing, and a great topic.
Yeah. And so I want to greet everybody also. Whoever's reading, not reading, of course, but listening, watching to the recording, welcome here too. Use the chat also afterwards. Send us questions. We will see them. They will appear on LinkedIn or on YouTube, and we get notified. And I will then tell Mark, you've got a question to what you said. So that's absolutely fine. So enjoy the recording. And if not, everybody here on live stream, welcome. Let us know your questions. We will talk about the topic today. Yeah, and somehow I like it too. Should I build a relationship with the prospect as a sales engineer, right? So I don't know about you, Mark, but I was really, especially when I started out, I was like fearful about this. Hey, there's my account executive or my manager is asking me to build intentionally a relationship with a stranger. This didn't go into my mind. So as a more technical person, but I know you're more an extrovert. I think you told me this one day. So maybe you didn't have this thought. What about you?
So it's interesting. So I think we're going to get an interesting balance today because I know that you've previously, Patrick, said that you feel you're more of an association with an introverted pre-sales style, and I know that I must admit that I do sometimes feel more extroverted, which is in itself thoroughly tiring. Wonderful, great fun, but I'm under no illusion. It is a very tiring way to do life. But with regards to friends and colleagues, friends being customers or customers being friends. Yeah, I'd always love the opportunity to get to know people more. I think it can only help a relationship, especially a sales relationship. But it's really important that we remember that it is a sales relationship. The person, at least at the start when you're getting to know them, is not talking to you because they think that they're going to invite you to their wedding. They're doing it because they've got a problem. You are one of the people at a vendor, and so they're talking to you to get some information. And so, sure, you might end up being, well, you will probably be very friendly because you're a pre-sales person. But ending up as friends is not always a given. And you're right, sometimes managers do say, add them on LinkedIn, have a chat, talk to them. And at the start of your career, you're like, Why? Even now, I find it difficult because I would like to be friends with all these people. But there's one thing I know, that to actually be a friend, you have to invest a lot of time. And tell me, once you've made that sale and you're off doing lots of other things, would you make the same amount of time available for that person? If you would, then maybe there is an ongoing friendship there. I'm talking specifically pre-sales, because it tends to be once it sells, then there's a client success team. But if you're not willing to continue to give up that one call a week to that person, then maybe that's not right. And would they give up one call a week? What about you, Patrick? Have you ended up as friends with any of the people that you've had as customers?
Yes, friends, maybe not friends in the friends way. It depends. Maybe it's also culture thing, but good acquaintances were good even after years. Like we remember each other, right? The time we had together. But this was not in that way intentionally, that I looked them up, figured out what they like, crafted a message to connect them, right? And then followed up and listened carefully. What could I do good to them, right? So it like this social engineering theme. But those relationships occur during the projects, the POCs we've gone through, right? The nights when you sit there with the champion of the client and you fix the product, fix the use case, and in the morning everything runs and you just hug each other, right? So this forms a strong bond, and also that you help them progress their career, right? So often champions have something, so they benefit from the solution being useful for their company, right? And you help them to get this benefit, and this builds friendship in quotes. But that's a question back to you. What do you think does it mean when we said relationship in the question, right? Should we build relationships? You immediately jump to friendship. Is a relationship friendship, or?
Well, I think there's lots of different types of friends. Just like we just found now, when you're talking about a friend, well, it's a friend acquaintance. And I don't know about everyone else, but when I started adding friends onto Facebook, the concept back then was that they were my actual friends. If I needed them, I could call on them and they would be there for me. Well, probably now 90% of the people that are friends on Facebook, I think if I called them and asked them for something, they'd be like, well, why are you calling me? So it's interesting that to understand what a friend is. And I'll come back to that in just a second, because I know that we've got a question that's come in.
Yeah,
from
you're very experienced.
So thank you for sending that in.
Yeah,
there it is on the screen. Hi all. As we know, SEs are mostly tech and tend to build great relationships with architects, developers. What are some advice you would give to build strong relationship with non-tech audience and CXOs without being too salesy? Yes, we've all seen the too salesy style before, haven't we, Patrick? I think that not being too salesy and non-technical audience is to understand that they will see through a lot of these tips and tricks. When someone asks me at the start of the call, "Oh, how are you? How's your family? Well, what about the weather and all the rest of it?" Yes, some of it is normal personality, but some of it is building that relationship outside of the business questions. And so when you speak to CXOs and the board, they are likely to have seen every style of hey, why don't we suggest this, and let's be friends, and they probably don't want to be friends because they probably have lots of other things, other priorities. So I would say, do you need to be their friend, or do they even want you to be their friend as the best relationship? We're talking about building relationships for a purpose. If that purpose is to sell software, for example, maybe you don't need to be their friend to provide them the best value.
Yeah. Sometimes it's enough if you're the honest voice, right? And even pushing back on their thoughts. Yeah. I remember a situation where we consulted the company and they had still mainframes down in their cellar, right? Everything ran on mainstream. I'm
Lots of
sure
blue
it still
flashing
does.
lights all
Yeah, it
over
still
them.
does. But then we asked, like, so who supports this? Yeah, we have 3 more guys, but they will be retired in 3 years, right? And what after this? What's the strategy? There is no strategy. And don't you think we should do something? No. So they were really like blank on that. But this kind of pushback and eye opening helped, right? So for the credibility piece and everything. Yeah, and I think you're right. It doesn't need to be friendship if I want to sell something, right? But it needs to be credibility and authenticity, an honest voice, right? You need to be resourceful in some way. Yeah, I think that's the
And
best.
a great way to do that
Yeah.
is so you're asking a good tip to build a strong relationship with somebody is to recommend them to not do something. So one way that I've seen it work very well in the past is that if your product or your company has got, let's say, 10 different possible solutions or features or add-ons that the person that you're trying to build this relationship might want or might need, there's probably 1 or 2 that are not really appropriate for the start. There might be even one that's not appropriate for them at all. And you can imagine the salesy way would be to say, all of these are perfect for you. Okay, so let's remove a couple. It goes, some of these are perfect for you. Well, hang on a minute. What are the ones that aren't? Oh, these 2, I know it looks like they would be good, but I understand your company and you've told me lots about it. So I would really not do that. Well, thank you very much. That's some really authentic, helpful advice.
Is this going into the direction of buyer enablement? So you are the expert there. What would buyer enablement, or how does this play now into this relationship building, maybe with the C-level even?
Yes, I think it's trying to understand what the buyers are trying to do.
Yeah.
And they're trying to do different things at different times. So at the start, they're trying to just learn what their pains are and what the problems are, because they've seen that there could be a better way, but they might not understand that whole area. Then they have to select which problems to fix, find someone that can help with those, and then make sure that that's exactly what they want to do, and then press the go button. And then they need to make that project a success. So if you can help them through that journey, and a great way is to be a friend through that, then you can certainly do that. We've got another question though from Andy.
Yeah,
They're
before we
in
come
second
to
fast.
Andy, I've seen Andy. Hi, Andy. One second. There's something interesting in Saurabh's text too, that's being too salesy. I would love to. Hi, Lydia. I would love to dissect this a bit. What does Saurabh mean by being too salesy? What is considered to be too salesy? What is he implicating of what he doesn't want to do?
Well, I mean, from my perspective, being too salesy would be being too focused on the outcome desired by the salesperson of making money. I believe that's what Sarah is referring to, and it can seem not genuine, it can seem that they're too focused on that and not genuinely trying to help the customer. And by doing that, it can really break any friendship that you've built there. Now, I do think it's okay though to say it's almost the end of my quarter. I was really hoping that this deal was going to come in. I've promised my boss it's okay if you buy it next month, because obviously, or next quarter, because we'll still be working together and I'll still be getting the commission. But if you have the option of making it happen sooner, that would be very valuable. Now, that's fair to say, because you're not saying do it or don't do it. that person, that buyer, might have no reason to do it one or the other, but they were not aware. So you can tell them that you're trying to get it in for this quarter. But if you only want to make money out of that person, that's being too salesy.
Great advice, I think. Amazing advice. Okay, thank you, Zora, for your question. And he said that's right. So you hit the nail. Let's come to Andy. Hi, Andy. Good to see you. Over the course of my career, an interesting pattern emerged as I moved from company to company. I found better success with the relationships I built at my customers. Okay. So.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting, because it looks like what Andy's doing is using the different perspectives that he finds from each company to build his abilities and his methods to talk to different companies, because you'll be working with different types of people, styles of sales organization. And an interesting pattern, he says, as I moved from company to company, found better success. He's added, my customers were always my customers, regardless of the company. So really good. So this is how you can use that friendship to mean that when you go to your next place, you can phone them up and go, so that great impact that you made. What about doing it in this area as well?
Yeah, this is how I understand Andy. Yeah,
really good.
So yeah, and that's how salespeople, I think, today are also like judged, right? How big is your network? Have you sold something already, right? That's not the sales engineer, but of course, I remember when I got hired 2014 from MuleSoft, I had a salesperson in Germany, and the first thing the account executive asked me, the German guy, how big is your network? Whom can we sell to? Hands up. I don't have any network, right? I'm new in this. I haven't sold anything. So don't count me in here, right? But there is some, and there's definitely value if you have your network. What do you think?
He does raise a really interesting point. When I worked for Sage, I always felt that when I was talking to people outside in the pre-sales world, I wasn't just Sage. I was Mark Green working at Sage. And I think that distinction in my mind helped me maintain relationships then after Sage, because I wasn't seen by that person as just a way to interact with Sage. It was a way to interact with me, and I happened to work for Sage, and now I happen to work for Consensus.
Yeah, you build your persona, right? You decouple yourself from the actual employer in the sense that you say, okay, it's always my opinion. It's your values, right? Like just thinking you want to bring value or create value, be resourceful, right? And
so Patrick, we were talking then about the different types of friends. What different types of friendships do you think you would build with people that you worked with at customers?
And that's the moral question, I think. Would I be willing to intentionally form a relationship when somebody asks me, my VP sales, for example, asks me to do this because it's a huge deal everybody needs, and you are the sales engineer, you only talk the language of the person you should connect to, right? And we need their friendship because we need to call them up at night, right? So this is kind of what you should build. Yeah, we need to be able to call them up at night so we can bring this in last day of the quarter, right? The best Sunday. All this should work. And then I have to say, no, I don't want this. I personally don't want this. And I think it could feel, the other person can feel this, right? I couldn't call somebody cold and say, hey, how's it going? Want to go for dinner? I don't know. And chat about things, right? So this is and you need this in sales, right? So as long as as there is this acquaintance thing, right? And you talk to each other, an email will be occasionally answered, right? Maybe a person picks up the phone, but you need to schedule meetings, right? To get in the realm of and get something done and to progress something. Everything needs to be official. But then there's the next level where it gets unofficial. And this is where I always felt a bit of a trouble. For example, I don't know what do you think, Mark, but if let's suppose we have a deal going on, RFP process, something like this, right? Everything is very official. We meet officially. Now you get an idea, you have a question. I don't know. Would you reach out outside of the process and to the prospect and ask them maybe very personally?
Well, that's why it's sad that we don't meet people in person as often, because one of the most valuable relationship building parts of a meeting was the lunchtime, because you could be doing official corporate stuff in the morning and in the afternoon, but in the lunchtime you get to connect on a more personal level, talk to them about their journey into the office, talk to them about the weather, I don't know, talk to them about all sorts of things. And it's those things that make, hopefully, the meeting more memorable. If someone said
you can't do this with every opportunity you work on, right? So there's also a limit of lunch of lunches.
No, unfortunately so. But yes, I think it is possible on other calls, maybe. So it's quite good to join calls early with customers, because sometimes they come on and you can talk about, oh, so how's the project going? We're looking forward to chatting in a minute. Is everyone here that you wanted to be here? Stuff like that. And then there's much more relaxed. But we've got questions firing through as well. This is really, really good. It's obviously an evocative topic in the world.
Let's take Lydia's first. So she came up. So I'm not sure what that says about me. So if you're not sure, let's see if we can figure it out. But I always form relationships with a purpose. It is only natural to form a bond with the people you work with, or it might be a people's person thing. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yes, it is. So you can build a relationship with a purpose, and that's okay. There are some relationships which are symbiotic, so you will both benefit. Some relationships are more one way. We've always, I'm sure we've all experienced those friends that you are always inviting over for dinner, but for some reason they never invite you back, or vice versa. And sometimes that's okay if everyone kind of feels okay with that. But it's when you put lots of effort in and you don't get anything back, that's an unrequited friendship. And in fact, that's something that Sarah mentioned further up about trying to build a relationship that's not responsive. I would say don't then. You're trying to build the wrong sort of relationship. Take what Lydia is saying and understand which kind of relationship you're trying to build. If you want to be their best friend, maybe they're not interested in that. Maybe they just need someone that can provide them with the technical specifications really quickly. And that might just be all you will be to them. But if you are that to them, then that might be a very successful relationship that you've built.
And being responsive also sometimes means people are shy, right? So if you talk to vendors, they might not be used to having sales conversations. That might also happen, right? And they are careful to what they say to outside people coming in and explaining something about software they want to replace, and they never have seen this before, right? So you need to judge this. Yeah, just because you see a lot of clients every day, they might not have seen a sales guy in 10 years. I don't know. Right?
Well, yes, that's a good point. When someone starts off a big tender process and they're faced with a whole room full of people from a vendor on the Monday, and then a whole room full of people from the second vendor on the Tuesday, and then maybe on the Wednesday as well. I mean, that's a lot of work to put in to get to know these people when you don't know the benefit. A bit later on, once it's whittled down, maybe that's a bit easier.
Yeah. Perfect. Let's read. Oh, Henry, there's a lot. In a lot of cases, you may on first meeting be seen by them as transitory, i.e. the latest person covering their account from your org who will spin the same nice conversation and messaging to make a sale before moving on to a new role or alignment. After which, adios. Okay, this to me is most basic salesy approach, where, like you say, there is interest in fastest route to sale at sacrifice sometimes of what's best for the customer. I love the distinction, separation of your name at the. To be fair, it's too long for me. So I get your point of being salesy, yeah. And you shouldn't, right? Especially if you're moving on to something. That's not fair, right?
You're right. Let's take a good example. So thank you, Henry, for your question in there and the advice. So an example is a person called Alex. I'm going to put him on the spot now. Alex at Consensus was the customer success person that I was working with, along with lots of other people at Consensus. When I worked for Sage, trying to sort out all of this demo automation, digital scaling that we were putting in. I say that I was trying to make successful. Now, Alex heads up the client success team at Consensus, and at the time, this was a year or so back, we were working together, or a couple of years now, and he was building a relationship there that was helping me with the project. What's really nice is that he was helping me even before the sale was made. So the pre-sales would usually not extend into customer success. But if you have some overlap where customer success comes in during that journey, then is the key thing then the relationship with the person, or is it the relationship that the customer has with the company or with someone? How do they feel that the many people at the company are helping their success? Because, because Alex has started talking to me there, I didn't feel like I had stopped one relationship building with sales and then had to start a whole new relationship building with client success. I felt because of the overlap, a continuation of the connection, and that was really, really valuable. Because you know what, when you buy some software and you've gone through purchasing and it comes through and you get your login and you're like, excellent, and you go, oh no, now the project really starts, right? So you've got to use it. You've got to train yourself. You've got to get everyone using it and all that. And to have that moment happen at the same time as, hello, I'm a new person you have no relationship with that's going to be taking you through this. The company hasn't built up that trust. So, Henry, you've sparked off a happy memory for me about that crossover, bringing through to a successful project.
Yeah. No, yeah. And sorry, Henry, no need to say sorry. It's really just tough to read during the live show, and it's far away from me on the screen. So one thought would be good. So but yeah, I think Mark covered this very well, right? So there are sometimes even contracts where it's written, right? The person you see here, or you can't request actually a specific person for the project, right? We will choose who we send to implement this. And Mark, you hit a point, and then the same as with Henry. We fall in love with people, right? We get excited by them because they sold us something shiny and new, maybe a vision, a mission, everything, right? How the future will look like. And then they disappear. once this thing is sold, right? So, and it's clear that we say, hey, we want those people back, right? They were amazing. Where are they now? Yeah, selling to somebody else, and here's customer success, right?
Yeah. So when your boss then says, I want you to build a relationship with this person, understand that, listen to them and say, fine. But at what point will the company allow me to continue that friendship? And if the company says, so if your boss says, well, I mean, once we've made the sale, I need you to go and make friends with all of the new business, then what you're setting up there with that relationship with the person, with that prospect, is a friendship with an end. So we'll call that an end ship. You know, it has an end, and what you're building is not necessarily designed to live for a long time. Now, if you're very open about that, you know, I'll be here, but this is where I can, you know, I need to concentrate on the start of the funnel again there, but I've got some colleagues, then fine. Like I said, the overlap. But if your boss says, you've got to build these great relationships, but then stop. Now, the other thing is maybe keep on that relationship, because in SaaS software, expansion is key. So you're very friendly at this moment. Can you keep it going for a year? Maybe it's a 1-year deal with an expansion at the end for some more, or maybe it's into different parts of the business. So if that's the goal, it's not an end ship. It is a longer term thing. So yeah.
No, and yeah, maybe it's cultural, but for me, this was always tough. I don't know about you out there, but please comment on that. But like, even is building this deeper thing, for me, it needed to happen, right? There needed to be the same wavelengths in some way, the same topic to discuss. I hated it being early, because then I needed to talk to strangers, right? It was like this. It like, would be better if we only talk business, because then I know, right? And being personal is like, was always tough for me. Yeah.
See, I've got the opposite problem, is that I want to go and talk to everybody, and I keep getting told, mainly by my other half, that maybe everyone is happy chatting as they are. I don't need to go and introduce myself the whole time. So, but you know, so it's
that's funny.
Yeah. So we've got Joshua. Hey, Joshua. Hey, Josh. You are what a legend. Great to have you on. You have you on. And thanks for coming on to the 2 pre-sales and a pod episode most recently.
Is this out already? So
yeah,
have you had Josh on the call? Oh
yeah. But I only just released the other day. So
okay.
So feel free to
I need to catch up on this. Amazing. Cool. Hi, Josh. So when building relationships with your customers, is it important to leverage social media to keep them engaged and keep you in their minds? If so, how do you do this? Josh, you're an expert in that. I know that.
He is, isn't he?
A trick question. Yeah, Mark, I'll let you go first.
Oh that's very kind. Yes, it is, and it's funny. So I think it is when building. So he's talking about when building relationships with customers. I would say that's he's talking about building professional relationships, which is good. Friendships is a slightly different thing, but certainly when friendship will come if it needs to, but at the start it's all business. But certainly leveraging social media to make sure you keep yourselves in front of their vision is absolutely key. But depends on what you're posting. So if you're posting the corporate message all the time, you're not reinforcing your personal ideas and your sense of self. You're just posting about the company. So you're just an advert. You may as well just be another one of the paid media. But if you've got something worthwhile to say that the other person might be very interested in, then do post. I would say probably the best way would be to reply and comment, not just post. Well, what do you reckon? Social selling hero of the entire pre-sales industry, Patrick?
Who? No.
Yeah, we're all looking at you, friend.
I'm not that, but what I would add to that is you can't only build relationships, you can build fans or followers or people who are interested in your opinion. And I think this is strong, right? And this completely dips into what you say. Don't just post what is on your internal whatever social media board and and publish this. Forget this stuff, right? Think about what's your opinion, what have you seen in this day, and post this and let people participate in what you see and achieve. And I think then you can build followers and fans, and then you automatically are reminded, or you remind yourself to them, right? Independent also of your company, but of course with your company. So that's amazing. There are amazing examples out there from sales engineers having, I don't know, 10,000, 15,000 followers. They built over the years, right? Step by step. And now if they publish like content, domain specific content, or what happened to them, hundreds of likes, and this will result into prospects. That's amazing. It gives a halo effect to the company and back to the person, right? So this is huge. There's a huge opportunity that sales engineers can tap into to build relationships, especially like me, if you're introvert. If you don't like the small talk and all this stuff, right? If this is a bit difficult and tricky for you, but people see you and then they know you. It's amazing, right? Maybe people have seen you now. I'm sure, Mark, you're on pre-sales on a pod. You're on webinars, right? You're visible. If you meet someone for the first time, they might say, "Hey, Mark, I've seen you before." Right? I have the feeling I know you, and that's strong. Right?
It really, really is. And Josh does this very well, because it's about a constant friendly presence, so that when you need to have that call that is not just based on chatting, it's about, hey, I just got a serious question for a second. We need this.
Yeah.
They're a lot more available to listen, so that's good.
Yeah. Okay. Irina, hi Irina, great to see you. I agree that it's cultural. I'm always afraid to make too much and to be too friendly. But can the SE be too friendly? Good question.
Well, yes, I can, and it's something that I've learned to slow down a little on. Right, so
what happens if you're too friendly? In the market way, too friendly.
Because it just because I might feel that I've got a great thing to discuss or talk about, or I think that it would be very valuable for us. The person that you're talking to might not be in the same frame of mind. You need to earn the right to have some of the conversations. Now, there's easy conversations, isn't there? Easy icebreakers. Just like Lydia said, yes, classic UK style thick quality bonding, talking about the weather. So you can talk about the weather. You can talk about football, although I really don't know anything about football, and it's quite a divisive subject if you get two opposing team supporters in the same room. But there's lots of easy ways to do it. But then if you start diving in, oh, so which game did you go to? Oh, was it good? What happened? Where did you go for lunch? Suddenly, that's gone too far. So it's about knowing where that boundary is, and
how's the marriage going, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah. Which one? So I agree. You can be too friendly, but you can be receptive. I guess what I was talking about there was being talking in a friendly way, sort of exuding friendliness. I think what is really valuable, and the thing that I'm shifting to as I learn and I grow old and grey, is receptive friendliness. So when someone's talking about something that you're not interested in, listen. they're interested in it. They're obviously passionate about it, and you know what? You might learn something and enjoy it anyway. So that I think is very valuable and friendly in a receptive way. It harks back to listen more than you talk. And in fact, it's what Andy says as well in his comment, that you don't have to be best of friends, but you can be friendly to build a relationship with a customer. He says, some of my best relationships have been ones where we've challenged each other and leveled each other up in a sense. Yeah, so being open and saying, I think that's wrong. I really don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, amazing. Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point that we had before with the sea level, right? So there's no need to always be like water, right? And adjust to every situation and be kind. Put up this kind of expert status that you have and say no, right? So it's actually, have you thought about it that way, right? Because this is how we perceive it should be done, right? And then there's insight and there's this level up. I think that Andy meant, right?
Now I've got a question then. So we've been talking about whether or not customers can be friends. Do you think friends can become customers? Imagine the dynamic that you would have there. If you had to take and this, I'm talking about a really good friend, right? So someone that you could call in the middle of the night, who if you had a problem, you would maybe go for a beer with them. Maybe you were the best man at their wedding, or you were a bridesmaid or whatever. If they came to you and said, I'd like to, we need some of the software that you do, for example, what would that dynamic be like? I think that's quite interesting as well.
Yeah, and I have this in my life, or I had, but I sold myself. So in terms of consulting, I helped a very good friend and with his business, right? Whenever there are shortages, I stepped in, and I think that's okay because you can give your best, right? So it only relies on you. I would be careful though to sell something that goes outside of my control, right? I don't know. I would be careful at this point. So maybe not. Maybe I wouldn't sell software to my best friend.
So then exactly that. So why are we trying to be best friends with all our customers?
Yeah.
So there you go then, isn't it? So if we take our best friend and we were like, well, maybe I wouldn't necessarily, because it might harm the friendship in the end. If for whatever reason, I don't know, a misunderstanding, perhaps you do your best job, they do their best job, but their company doesn't pay you or the invoice, or who knows? You don't want to sour that relationship. So maybe what we want to do in business is not become best friends with our customers, but be surprisingly helpful for these people and create that friendship that Andy was talking about, and understand the different cultural norms of what friendship is in different countries, like Owen has said, and really understand the purpose of the person that you're talking to in the customer. If they're CXO, like Sarah was talking about, they're going to expect a very different kind of relationship. So just go and be really helpful by understanding what they need at the right moment and providing it. I mean, that's buyer enablement 101, really.
Yeah. There's a different analogy that maybe also helps. Don't know if it fits, tell me. But for example, if I sell my books, or my wife sells also some kind of how is it called in English? Like skincare, so very healthy stuff, right? And there are friends who say, don't dare ever to try to market this to me. right? So because this is not moral, literally, right? And there are friends who support you and say, of course, I buy every of your books, of course, right? When's the next coming out? So this is a really interesting dynamic, and maybe it's also it's again like part of a personality trait or how people grew up or whatever, right? What do you think?
I think that so I've got a friend that went into doing very similar, but they were selling products, but I felt that and that was actually like beauty products as well, and I didn't feel that by that my sale, my buying some of their products wasn't necessarily helping their business. If I needed some of that stuff, and they happened to be the one that I wanted, then fine. But it wasn't that wouldn't be the friendship that would cause me to buy it necessarily, because one sale would not make much difference. Exactly. I could possibly do it and then give really good feedback about the experience and the shipping and the packaging and all that sort of thing. But yes, well, we've got more comments coming in from Lydia. It's wonderful to see all of these comments in the chat.
It's fun, right? So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot too. I would say yes. So selling to a friend, right? With a caveat. Be very clear with boundaries. As silly as having a personal and work chat with them. As silly as having a personal and work chat. I have a problem today with reading, I get, and getting the meaning.
So having a personal chat saying, tell you what, let's cover all the stuff that we wanted to do with work and just get that done. And then we'll just chat for another 2 hours about anything afterwards. So having a clear boundary, I think that's what Lydia's talking about.
She's saying, okay, have this boundary. So say now I'm talking work. Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and she's also added that in another comment, I've witnessed both very sweet and very sour situations between friends when finances get involved. The key I've seen for successful ones has been, and I repeat, boundaries. Yes, I think so. Yeah, it's like, would you buy a car from a friend? Because then if the next day it broke, what would you do? Like, oh, I can't have a go at him because I've known him for 10 years and now I'm in a bad situation. So yeah. Oh well, that's excellent. Thank you for that, Lydia.
And now we're into marriage contracts, right? So this is the next evolution.
Well, true. Well, I mean, if anyone is a fan of Big Bang Theory, Sheldon Cooper has a friend contract.
Yeah.
And so when someone steps out of, does something that he doesn't like, what? Hang on a minute. Subsection B, you are not allowed to put the waste in the disposal when I am in the kitchen. Now, I think that is a bit over the top, but yeah, perhaps we won't be doing that. But you can use the same idea when your boss asks you to become friends with all of your customers, because you can have a clear set of boundaries that you write yourself, and you say to your boss, I'm very happy to maintain a relationship with these prospects and customers online, maybe through LinkedIn when we meet up, etc. But it is useful for that boss to understand that what you're promising them is perhaps you will talk to them, but you won't necessarily be expected to maintain that relationship for a year. Say you move to a different department, and then your boss says, well, but you've got the relationship with that person, so you're going to have to come back into these meetings because you've put in all the time and we gave you that task. So if you set these little boundaries, you're protecting yourself, but also helping your boss by helping them understand how much you can get involved in this and how much you can't.
That's an amazing finish.
I can't believe Sheldon Cooper and his friendship contract has managed to get into a work business webinar. But I think it's probably a good idea. Not as complicated.
It's amazing because you give yourself those pillars you can hold on to, right? By writing down your own boundaries, like it's a value statement in that sense, right? Like we would have learned from Covey or something, yeah.
And you can share it. I mean, perhaps not share the whole list, but when someone is building that relationship with you, when the customer is starting to talk to you or their prospect, and they're wondering who this person is, so they're talking to Patrick. How much energy am I going to put in to staying on a call to chat, to responding to your messages on email or on LinkedIn? Right at the start, tell them what your role is at that company. I'm here to help you get what you need. I work in whatever time zone, so I'm usually around these sorts of times. So if you need anything, let me know. I do know this stuff. I can't help you with this stuff, but I know some people that can. And then you're setting the boundaries for the prospect there to know what they can come to you for and what they can't. And perhaps if there's some comments about a particular football team or the weather or just pleasantries, then that can make it nice too. And then you're building a good friendship.
Perfect.
It's making me think I should make some notes for myself and see whether or not this plan works. I just tend to just be friendly with everybody.
Yeah, and it's right. So there's no need to be not. So be friendly, please, everybody, every day.
It is. Well, that's I feel that we are becoming fast friends, Patrick, because we share a love in not only pre-sales, but cameras and lighting, and you have been an inspiration to me in this setup. And I would really advise anyone willing to come on and join this wonderful system. It's very easy. You click in and you can just participate in these. And if you've got an idea that you want to share and come online, I know you should be doing the selling, Patrick, but it's a great experience and I would recommend it to anyone.
Thank you very much. That's really an honor. Yeah, and typically Lydia would be here too, so you would be feel even more comfortable being here, right? So yeah, thanks a lot for the compliment, and it's always a joy. So especially listening to you and your expert opinion, you're very good in being on stage, I have to say. Yeah. So
I didn't used to be. If there are any budding pre-sales people out there or people worried about coming on stage or coming onto a webcam, when I grew up, I had a really troublesome stammer or stutter, and so talking was hard. Let alone on stage.
Yeah.
But you can overcome many things by understanding it better.
Yeah.
And now I can't stop talking, so someone needs to probably.
Now you fell in love with talking. That's great. No, amazing, and congrats for conquering it, right? For conquering a fear. It's a fear and it's a habit, right? So two things you manage, right? It's also inspirational, of course, what you do. So thanks for being.
We shall have to do an episode on presenting. That would be great. I would love that.
Okay. You're welcome again. Let's plan this and then we go on presenting. Yeah. I'm very happy to do that and welcome you again.
Cool. We'll definitely do that. Well, thank you very much indeed to everybody. It's been wonderful to be on.
For all your questions and comments. It was a pleasure. And yeah, we see us next week, I guess. Back here on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we see us soon. We are over and out. Bye-bye.